Welcome to the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, and evolve. Sister spiritual inspiration shared through the arts. Sister spiritual inspiration shared through Ayana. Welcome, my brothers and sisters. I am Ayana, the host, creator, and producer of the Sister Speak Show. It is my pleasure conversing with you all this evening. Shout out to all of my first-time listeners, and shout out to all of my regular listeners, and shout out to my international listeners. Hello, Cambodia. Hello, Mongolia, Ghana, Sweden, Ireland. Oh my goodness. There are so many international listeners listening, and I thank you so much. Shout out to you all. I hope you all are pressing through. I hope everything is going well for you on the other side. Hold on and hold out. Change is always occurring. We just have to wait and be patient and get ready. Okay, so anyway, to my first-time listeners, you are listening to a syndicated podcast on Amazon Alexa. And within this syndicated podcast are 6 segments. And on these 6 segments, you're going to be able to catch special guest interviews, live performances, in-studio interviews, and live on location reports. The special guests who will be on the Sister Speak Show are dynamic, and they are impacting the communities with their passions. The Sister Speak Show is a talk show that will keep your mind and your soul informed, energized, and encouraged. We are a cultural renaissance platform that influences a climate that is conducive to who you are and who you should be. No reckless entertainment, just responsible listening nourishment. We don't go dumb. We go wisdom. Hey. And guess what, brothers and sisters? It's about making the known known, but I got to pause on this. Did you hear the new intro for the Sister Speak Show? Yes. Did you hear it? Shout out to Allie and shout out to producer Ben Wade. Oh my goodness, Allie was a special guest on the tour on the Sister Speak Show, and I reached out to a couple people, to ask them to do the intro for the show, and she was the one who responded to me and delivered professionally for me, and I am so grateful. Thank you so much, and thank you to Ben Wade for being a dope super producer and just creating a beat that really speaks to the essence of the Sister Speak Show. The lyrics, the tune, the melody, everything just really encompasses the ambiance of what we are, who we are, and why we are. So I just want to take the time out. You all must go on Instagram and follow Allie at Allie, ALLIE_SLE. And you can follow Ben Wade at _Ben.Wade. Okay? Definitely hit them up. I keep it in the village. I like to support my brothers and my sisters. That's how we rock. So shout out to them. Let's give them a round of applause for producing a wonderful, wonderful intro for the Sister Speak Show. Yes. Okay, my brothers and sisters, as we get ready to go ahead and dive right into the culture climate this evening, I definitely decided to give the culture climate a new look as far as the segment cover. For the culture climate, we're going in a different direction, and I just wanted to really provide an energy that would back what we speak about on the Sister Speak Show as a whole, and definitely each segment. The Sister Speak Show is definitely rated R, restricted audiences only. We have strong ideas, strong language, and when I say strong language, not language that's offensive, I'm just speaking about this is for mature audiences only. You cannot be a part of the why me group. You just got to be able to take the blows that are associated with you and just adjust yourself accordingly. I am definitely receiving the blows as well, and I'm looking out for everybody. But let's just get into it. The culture climate speaks about raw topics that are dedicated to, which have the objective to promote healing and to raise awareness. I am not a feminist. I'm not a sexist. I'm not a man basher. I don't do that. That's not a part of me. That I am for my brothers and my sisters. And I am for us treating each other properly, decently, learning from one another, building with one another, and ultimately successfully loving each other as thyself. You know, so let's just get into the commercials, and we're going to get into it because tonight's subject matter is extremely sensitive, and it is extremely not talked about as much as it should be, and often the subject of several jokes. But at the beginning of the day, nothing is funny about this subject. This is not a laughing matter. This is a 911, what is your emergency situation. So when I say mature audiences only, you know, you may be immature in this subject matter, but after tonight, hopefully you'll walk away convicted and start repenting for just your ignorance, you know. So we're going to take these commercial breaks and we're going to go ahead and get into this vibe. You are listening to The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak Show. This is your host, Ayana, and you are listening to a syndicated podcast on Amazon Alexa. And we are here for you, dedicated for you, and we'll be right back. Now, don't make me come looking for you, okay? Thank you.
On the next episode of The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak Show, we will be discussing a taboo subject in order to raise awareness and to promote healing for mature audiences only. The rape culture. When a man is raped, domestic, familial, prison rape. Live this Thursday, August 16th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Sister Speak Show, a syndicated podcast on Amazon Alexa, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action.
Welcome back, my brothers and my sisters. Now, I know within that commercial, you heard that it would be live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But I really wanted to dive into this right now, and it's my show, and I'm doing it. And it'll be available for you all to listen on demand, and that's just how we got to flow. I'm just really charged about this, and I wanted to get into it. I couldn't wait. I just couldn't wait. So let's just get into it. As you heard, we are discussing the rape culture. When a man is raped. Domestic, familial, prison rape. For mature audiences only. This subject matter is so sensitive and is very overlooked and is unfair. It is unfair to create an atmosphere that only caters to rape when it has to do with a woman, where a man is ultimately left to be a man and pick up the pieces. And I'll have none of that. I'm tired of it. I will not allow this world to continue to overlook the precious needs of men who have been victimized by predators sexually. It is not okay. It is not okay to do it. And we want you to eventually be okay if you have been a victim from it. I mean, we're not here to shame the victim, and not intentionally here to shame the predator, but I know it's going to come out. You should be ashamed. You know, shame is a gift. It can lead to repentance, which can lead to you ultimately having self-control over that thing that has you pinned down sexually. So, the way this program tonight is going to go is I really want my male audience and my female audience to listen. Just listen, you know, and begin to allow yourself to be anesthetized. So, not so you can be numb to the subject, hear me, but so you can get ready for your spiritual operation, so you can get that thing out of you, which has you bound, depressed, suicidal, afraid, traumatized, hurt, needing to express yourself and living in a world where people say, yeah, right. How can this happen to you? How can a woman rape you? Or, don't drop the soap. Or anything of that nature, which is really demeaning and disrespectful. I wanted to really take the time. I had presented this subject matter a long time ago as a topic that was coming soon on the Culture Climate. But what I won't do is put out topics just to be talking, just for airtime, just to have my voice be out there recklessly. That's not what I do. As I said before, no reckless entertainment, just responsible listening nourishment. So I wanted to research. I wanted to learn. I wanted to put myself in as close as I could to what the victims were feeling. I wanted to dive into this subject matter, so I did not approach it without caution. I had to approach it with caution. Because we're talking about raising awareness and promoting healing this evening. So I took the time to find a plethora of videos about male rape. And I found my research to be rather intense. Why was it intense, Ayana? It was intense because all I could really find, for the most part, was information about women being raped. But that's not what this is about this evening, So having to get creative with my search tags and, my search suggestions and really doing research to piece together step by step a flowing show that we can all leave this evening feeling hopeful and willing to heal. I don't hold back, so it's gonna get real this evening. I am probably a part of a small percentage of people, it appears to be, that have that are willing to say it like it is. Willing to stay right here on this platform because I'm not going to let anybody control the truth. I'm not going to neglect my village, period. So, with that being said this evening, brothers and sisters, I thank you. I thank you for being brave enough to tune in. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I have an article that I recorded, and I want you to listen to it. And then that will warm you up about rape. And men, what do you mean warm me up? I want us to be able to, this evening, to separate ourselves from the rape culture of women and bashing male predators only, when there are a plethora, several female sexual perpetrators who have victimized men. And it's not funny. It's not funny. It is not one of those things where you sit there and you say, shoot, I don't mind no woman sexually assaulting me. That's because nobody probably is interested in you physically and you're hard up. And so you know, or maybe they are and you're just sick and that's just your fantasy and your fantasy is sick and you're off, because, we live in this sexually charged world where I'm so tired of hearing men and women just focus on sex as if it is the only thing that, is functioning in this world. And a lot of people say, well, it makes the world go around. Well, what world do you live in? And why are you still there? Why haven't you tried to seek asylum somewhere else? Why are you still in a world where that happens? Now, some of you saying, well, because I live here. Well, I'm talking about spiritually. So, anybody saying, well, I'd love for a woman to do that to me, you need help. You really do. There's something wrong with you. If you would love for a woman to tie up your penis to keep it erect and to put drugs in your smoothie or whatever sauce you like to drink, and because you so ready to get one off that you easily are lured to the house, like most of the time, and then next thing you know, you drink the sauce, you're knocked out, and she is tying a rope around your penis to keep it hard, and she's raping you for hours. Really? That's your fantasy? That's your fantasy? Like, the spirit of perversion is real. I will see you all on the other side of this article. You are listening to The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak Show. Tonight's subject matter, the rape culture. When a man is raped, domestic, familial, prison rape. I'll see you on the other side of this audio recording.
Sexual victimization by women is more common than previously known. A new study gives a portrait of female perpetrators, written by Laura Stemple and Ian H. Meyer on October 10th, 2017. Take a moment and picture an image of a rapist. Without a doubt, you are thinking about a man. Given our pervasive cultural understanding that perpetrators of sexual violence are nearly always men, this makes sense. But this assumption belies the reality revealed in our study of large-scale federal agency surveys that women are also often perpetrators of sexual victimization. In 2014, we published a study on the sexual victimization of men, finding that men were much more likely to be victims of sexual abuse than was thought. To understand who was committing the abuse, we next analyzed 4 surveys conducted by the Bureau of Justice Statistics and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to glean an overall picture of how frequently women were committing sexual victimization. The results were surprising. For example, the CDC's nationally representative data revealed that over 1 year, men and women were equally likely to experience non-consensual sex, and most male victims reported female perpetrators. Over their lifetime, 79% of men who were made to penetrate someone else, a form of rape in the view of most researchers, reported female perpetrators. Likewise, most men who experience sexual coercion and unwanted sexual contact had female perpetrators. We also pooled 4 of the National Crime Victimization Survey data and found that 35% of male victims who experienced rape or sexual assault reported at least one female perpetrator. Among those who were raped or sexually assaulted by a woman, 58% of male victims and 41% of female victims reported that the incident involved a violent attack, meaning the female perpetrator hit, knocked down, or otherwise attacked the victim, many of whom reported injuries. And because we had previously shown that nearly 1 million incidents of sexual victimization happen in our nation's prisons and jails each year, we knew that no analysis of sexual victimization in the U.S. would be complete without a look of sexual abuse happening behind bars. We found that, contrary to assumptions, the biggest threat to women serving time does not come from male corrections staff. Instead, female victims are more than 3 times as likely to experience sexual abuse by other women inmates than by male staff. Also surprisingly, women inmates are more likely to be abused by other inmates than are male inmates, disrupting the long-held view that sexual violence in prison is mainly about men assaulting men. In juvenile correction facilities, female staff are also a much more significant threat than a male staff. More than 9 in 10 juveniles who reported staff sexual victimization were abused by a woman. Our findings might be critically viewed as an effort to upend a woman's rights agenda that focuses on the sexual threat posed by men. To the contrary, we argue that male-perpetrated sexual victimization remains a chronic problem from the schoolyard to the White House. In fact, 96% of women who report rape or sexual assault in the NCVS were abused by men. In presenting our findings, we argue that a comprehensive look at sexual victimization, which includes male perpetration and adds female perpetration, is consistent with feminist principles in important ways. For example, the common one-dimensional portrayal of women as harmless victims reinforces outdated gender stereotypes. This keeps us from seeing women as complex human beings able to wield power even in misguided or violent ways. And the assumption that men are always perpetrators and never victims reinforces unhealthy ideas about men and their supposed invincibility. These hyper-masculine ideals can reinforce aggressive male attitudes and, at the same time, callously stereotype male victims of sexual abuse as failed men. Other gender stereotypes prevent effective responses, such as the trope that men are sexually insatiable. Aware of the popular misconception that for men, all sex is welcome, male victims often too feel embarrassed to report sexual victimization. If they do report it, they are frequently met with a response that assumes no harm or no real harm was done. Women abused by other women are also an overlooked group. These victims discover that most services are designed for women victimized by men. Behind bars, we find that sexual minorities were 2 to 3 times more likely to be sexually victimized by staff members than straight inmates. This is particularly alarming as our related research found that sexual minorities, especially lesbian and bisexual women, are much more likely to be incarcerated to begin with. In addition to the risk faced by sexual minorities in the U.S., disproportionately incarcerates people who are Black, Latino, a low income, or a mentally ill person, putting these populations at risk of abuse. Detained juveniles experience particularly high rates of sexual victimization, and young people outside of the system are also at risk. A percent of those who self-reported committing rape or attempted rape at age 19. Professionals in mental health, social work, public health, and criminal justice often downplay female perpetration. But in fact, victims of female perpetrated sexual violence suffer emotional and psychological and physiological harm, just like victims of male perpetrated abuse. And when professionals fail to take victimization by women seriously, this only compounds victims' suffering by minimizing the harm they experience. Researchers also find that female perpetrators have often been previously sexually victimized themselves. Women who commit sexual victimization are more likely to have had an extensive history of sexual abuse, with more perpetrators at earlier ages than those who commit other crimes. Some women commit sexual victimization alongside abusive male co-perpetrators. These patterns of gender-based violence must be understood in order to reach the troubled women who harm others. To thoroughly dismantle sexual victimization, we must grapple with its many complexities, which requires attention to all victims and perpetrators regardless of their sex. This inclusive framing need not and should not come at the expense of gender-sensitive approaches, which take into account the ways in which gender norms influence women and men in different or disproportionate ways. Male-perpetrated sexual victimization finally came to public attention after centuries of denial and indifference, thanks to women's rights advocates and the anti-rape movement. Attention to sexual victimization perpetrated by women should be understood as a necessary step in continuing and expanding upon this important legacy.
Welcome back. You are listening to The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, and evolve. I am your host, Ayana, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Listening to the Sister Speak Show is even easier now with the new abilities available from Spreaker Skill on Amazon Alexa. With Spreaker on Alexa, you can now listen to the Sister Speak Show from even more places from all around the world. You also have navigation control, fast forward and rewind podcasts to make sure you never miss a second of your favorite show. And then you can ask for show recommendations like the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, and evolve.
Welcome back, my brothers and sisters. You are listening to The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak Show, and you just got through listening to an article that really opens up, your mind about female sexual predators. And I just, like I said, I wanted to really find something that was written in 2017. I just wanted to find something that was conducive and current and really just kind of broke down the most recent research and the most recent findings concerning female perpetrators. And so, I think it's really, really creates a great light that needs to be shown about, what's really going on, and that we have been scapegoating men for too long as just the only sexual predators that exist. And that's just obviously not true. And we know it's not true. Even if we had not heard that article, we know it's not true. You know of some female that is overly aggressive. You as a man, you know that some of you have even been taken advantage of by women. And some of you men have even been raped by men. And we're here today to promote awareness, to raise awareness and to promote healing. I've been thinking so much about this topic And this rape culture for men is all over. There are men all over the world that have been raped by men. There are men all over the world who have been raped by women. And it's really one of those situations where it has to be one of the hardest things to experience and to recover from, and it's not to make you relive the details. That's not what this show is about. It's not to make you relive the details and to send you spiraling out of control mentally. It is to annihilate that thing, to let it not have power, to recover, to know that you're still a man, that you will regain trust. That's what the intention of this show is. So when we start off with domestic rape, it was so hard just looking up, finding a wife raping a man, even though it happens. But because of the lack of support, because of the mocking, most men don't feel comfortable coming out about the sexual assault. But I did some deep digging. So, I just wanted, like I said, to provide video and insight that would really create a picture. So I found this video, and this one is, let me pause it. This particular video is entitled "Husband Dies After Rape by 6 Wives." Husband dies after being raped by 6 wives. He had 6 wives, and he died after being raped by them. Let's listen. And this is provided by GeoBeats. You always want to cite your sources, and this clip is definitely for educational purposes as well as healing purposes and raising awareness purposes.
Multiple wives or spouses may want to rethink that fantasy. A Nigerian man was found dead in an extreme case of spousal revenge. The husband, a prosperous businessman in eastern Nigeria, had 6 wives. Last week, he decided to spend that particular night in the youngest wife's room. However, the session was interrupted by his 5 other marital partners. The women, armed with sticks and knives, demanded that he have sex with all of them. The man declined to participate, but was soon overpowered and the sex march began, starting with the youngest woman. He quit breathing once it was the 5th bride's turn, causing many to call the incident a rape. 2 of the wives have been arrested so far. In another incident involving a wife's revenge, a Russian woman, upset over her spouse not showering, hit him in the head with an iron, then used the cord to strangle him. She then went on to dissect the body and spread its parts in the nearby woods.
Well, there you have it. Raped by 6 wives. And many of you men have this ambitious fantasy that you would love to be with more than one woman. Some of you even engage in orgies, menage a trois, threesomes, trains. I mean, you just do it all, right? And wrong, really, but right. And, you go to sex clubs, you swing, you get all off into this really, really unnecessary, sexually perverted lifestyle. And you don't ever think, because you believe you're doing it for pleasure, that, or even think about the consequences, or how, you reap what you sow, how, you are committing a sin, some of you committing adultery, like whatever it is, like you have a fantasy about being with more than one woman. And And you see where this ended, right? Raped by all of them, starting with the youngest to everybody. Raped this man. Completely humiliated and defaced him, devalued him, and ultimately he died. By the fifth woman, he wasn't even breathing anymore, everyone. So, a lot of times, some of you brothers feel like you're octopus penis and that everybody needs your penis. And I'm not, there's no bash to just hear what I'm saying, only connecting it to this. Can you handle 6 wives? Can you handle this huge fantasy where you're just being taken over by women? Some of you are into dominatrix. Some of you are into BDSM and all that other type of nasty shit. And it leaves you in a really perverted, susceptible to a lot of perverted things happening. And ultimately you can kill yourself based on your own pleasures. And this man was raped. I don't find it funny. I think those women were absolutely barbaric and it's rather disgusting, because at one time you loved this man, you married the man, and you knew he had another wife, and you knew he had another wife, and y'all all knew about each other, but in the end that you raped this man. What does that say about you? For me, raping a man has never crossed my mind because I've never been hard up to get it. And I shouldn't even been fornicating. So I'm not boasting and bragging about my sin and anything like that. But it's just that has never crossed my mind. Let's move forward. And let's talk about this next subject, men being raped more than, I said I was going to play that one, but I'm going to rate on this one because it doesn't come in at the right time. Let's listen to a male victim who speaks about being raped.
Street in the city center. Peter, as we have called him to protect his identity, remembers that he was arrested by 4 people who identified themselves as police officers. It was 7:30 in the morning.
As I was getting out from the cash point around 7 a.m., heading across Tunic Bank, 2 police officers came across me. And, one of them handcuffed me very quickly. Behind me, there was a VW, Polo in red, KBC, but I can't remember the other numbers, and was instructed to get inside. So when I got inside, the 2 police officers came inside. One of them seated at the back, and the other one was the co-driver, and there was another police officer seated on the left side of the car, and I was in the middle.
And what was his crime?
Sisi ni maafisa wa polisi na tumekuwa tukikutafuta sana. Kijana, tunakutafuta sana. Tumetumwa na mkubwa, tunataka kichwa yako.
Peter claims that he tried pleading with the alleged policemen, telling them that it was a case of mistaken identity and that his record was clean.
I told them I'm not a criminal, as I don't have any records of criminal records, and we can go and verify and prove to you that I'm a clean person.
Being a citizen who knows his rights, Peter demanded to see their identification to ascertain whether they were police officers, a move he wished maybe he shouldn't have taken.
Unataka kujua identification? They showed me the guns. They showed me the bullets. They even put bullets on the gun and they cocked the gun, saying, sasa wewe, unaona kama sisi ni mchezo tuko nao ama sisi ni wajinga. They wanted to kill me.
To his shock, his aggressors proceeded to search him and took away all his valuables, including 22,000 shillings he had just withdrawn from an ATM.
Police officer who was searching me gave out the money to the police officer in front of the seat. The co-driver said, "Kuru hesabu hiyo ni pesa ngapi?" Akamwambia 22,000.
However, they demanded that he coughs up more money to buy his freedom.
They told me, kama utapata pesa ingine, tutakumalizia leo.
Money that Peter did not have.
I told them, between me and poverty, kwa account yangu niko na 9,000 Kenya shillings. Wakasema Isili. One of them said wakasema Kuru Isili. So we headed to Isili. There is an Equity ATM at Isili. One police officer got out of the car and told me to pretend we are friends and go, withdraw the money and give him the money. And he actually saw that there was nothing else in the account.
After surrendering his last cent, Peter hoped that they would finally let him go, but their conversation turned ugly.
We went back to the car, sat in the car. Wakaniambia sasa na Kiswahili wakasema twende huyu mtu tumalizie jue sisi ni akina nani.
He was bundled into a car and the journey to Karura Forest began. And for the entire distance, Peter kept praying hard for a miracle, that God would spare his life.
Started praying to my God, saying, now I don't know what to do because I'm dying.
His prayers were interrupted when his aggressors made these terrifying revelations.
They told me, hapa mahali tunakuleta vijana kama nyinyi ndio tunamaliziaga hapa. So I was really scared, and I know now I'm dying.
They then took him further into the heart of Karura Forest and closer to his ordeal. Join me, Grace Mburu, on the second part of this story as Peter narrates how he was physically and sexually assaulted by the alleged officers and how he was saved by what he terms as God's grace. Grace Mburu reporting for Eyewitness News.
And that was brought to you by K24 TV. Just want to cite my sources. The next video I will play for you are male rape victims meeting in Uganda. This is from Al Jazeera English channel on YouTube.
Alain Kabenga says every day is ridden with shame and pain, and at night he can't sleep. In 2011, soldiers came to his home in eastern Congo, beat him up and raped his wife. Then they kidnapped him and tortured him for hours, and then things got even worse.
The first person came in, raped me, and then get out. And then another second one came in also, do the things very strongly, with brutality, very painful. Blood could come out. I could shout and cry. But because the place where I used to be there, I don't know if there was no people around who could hear me and come to rescue me, but no one could come out. There was just soldiers.
Now he's the president of a group of Congolese male rape victims in Kampala, the capital of neighbouring Uganda. Like him, they fled here after they were assaulted. He started the group 2 years ago with just 3 members. Now there's nearly 70 and more are coming forward. In Uganda, there are refugees from conflicts all over the region, and there are also many people who are displaced in Uganda's own civil war. Activists say there are many more male rape victims amongst them who are still too ashamed to come forward. But now, for the first time, victims and activists from around the region and beyond are coming together here in Kampala for a conference. It's the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa. Ken Clearwater was raped when he was just 12 years old. He's since become one of the world's leading activists for male rape victims. He's flown in from New Zealand to help out with the conference.
Within the African countries during the war zones and things like that, that's been used as a weapon against women, and it's also been used as a weapon against men. So it's about how do we bring that out into the open, make it knowledgeable to the public that these things are happening, and then make the changes from there.
Kabenga's writing a book about male rape. In Africa, the pressures on men to appear masculine are immense, and for victims, admitting to being raped is a terrifying prospect. He hopes the book and the conference will help others to overcome the shame too, so they can come forward and get the support that they need. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Kampala, Uganda.
This next video is provided by BBC Stories. I was groomed and sexually abused by 30 or 40 adult men. Let's listen.
I'm not going to tell you my real name because I don't want you to know who I am. But I do want you to know what happened to me. From the age of 13, I was groomed and sexually abused by 30 or 40 adult men. I don't know the exact number. Some were married. Some were teachers. Some had kids themselves. These men online told me it was completely normal for young gay guys to experiment with older guys.
Handle your 3 to child line.
And because the police didn't bring it up, I thought it was fine. Nothing to worry about, so I just carried on talking to them. I felt like anyone trying to stop me was pretty much trying to stop me being gay. I rebelled against it. Things spiraled out of control. "99% of the time, I'm a normal student. But it's always there. I just wish it had never happened. I just wish someone would have stepped in. I want to know that if this situation ever happened again, they'd know exactly what to do. But for now, I just have to hope that things will get better for boys like me."
This next clip is provided by the OWN channel on YouTube. Excuse me, on YouTube. A male rape survivor bravely stands in his truth for the first time on Iyanla Fix My Life on OWN.
I share with the brothers, you don't have to.
At the age of 14, I got forced into having sex in the mall bathroom by a stranger who told me if I was to do it, that there would be some sort of financial gain. Then he put me on the corner.
So would it be accurate for me to say that this adult male, in one way or another, pimped you out?
Yes.
For the first time, Ricardo was able to stand and speak his pain. I am hopeful that by witnessing his breakthrough, the other 4 men will be encouraged to move forward in their own process. Would it be accurate for me to say that you were a male prostitute?
Yes.
Yeah, that's your story, baby. Don't mean that's who you are. What happened, DeAndre?
I can relate.
What does that mean? What part of that do you relate to?
The male prostitute part. Just like me.
Own it. It's the story, beloveds. Hi, YouTuber.
Okay, so we're going to continue on with another clip, still on the same subject, brought to you by the OWN channel on YouTube. Male survivors of rape get advice from a survivor who's healed. And I told you that this show is to raise awareness and to promote healing. So let's listen.
I think that what happens to very, very smart, accomplished men is that we think we're smarter than the process.
True.
So then we decide, oh, okay, I know this direction I need to go, but I'm going to try this way over here and that way and up and down and left and right and everything we possibly can to keep us from going and walking through what we're afraid of.
So I'm stuck. And I'm telling you where I'm stuck. It is hard for me to walk away from sex.
What happens is when we were in our youth, at the time when we were abused, and we weren't getting at home whatever it was that we were missing, the sex replaced what that was.
Yep.
But it also brought with it shame and embarrassment and all that other stuff. So that every time you have sex, it is to soothe that which you missed back then because you got up and wiped off and pretended like the abuse didn't happen and then started living a lie. You never resolved this back here. So you're going through life thinking and operating like that's where your value is.
Okay.
So when Iyanla comes in here and starts, that's where you need to start working. That's your spot.
I know.
For Dennis and for all the men, Hearing these truths from Ray, who has done his work, is an important step toward reclaiming themselves and their power. This is the permission many of them need to speak their pain.
I do sometimes feel like my life is more valuable to other people than it is to myself. You know, walking away from abuse at 12 and 14 and feeling like the best thing you can do is just let it happen because you're used to it, because you're used to being violated. It's like watching the scenes in Precious and how she transports herself into another scene.
Right.
That was me. I'm like, just get it over with.
Right.
You know, first I was scared, first I was nervous. Now I was like, okay, I know what this is going to be. Let me think. Okay, when you're done and when the white stuff comes, I know I'm free for at least another day.
So if you went through the gamut of all the negative things that you think of yourself, what if they're not true, as opposed to just living as though they are? That sends you into a much different space.
It does.
Than just accepting. You just have to own your power enough to do that every single time the negative thought comes. So my question to you, my point to all of you is this. When you go all the way there and stay there until you're done, you don't have to go there anymore. So it makes more sense to open yourself up and let yourself go completely there so that then you don't have to do it anymore.
This next video, still from OWN channel, a rape survivor learns an important strategy for healing from his trauma on Iyanla Fix Our Life. Let's keep going with this. You are listening to The Culture Climate on demand on the Sister Speak show. Tonight's subject matter, the rape culture. When a man is raped, domestic, familial, prison rape.
So you go to sleep that night, and what happened?
I wake up to him putting his hands on me and pulling down my underarm. And he pushes my head down.
You okay?
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on.
The Marine Corps is the first place I truly felt safe. And then that incident happened. And it shattered like everything. And I didn't feel safe in the room. I didn't want to talk about it. And that made me crazy.
Eugene, whenever you think about calling yourself crazy, or whenever you think someone else is calling you crazy, I want you to replace the word crazy with traumatized, man. You're calling yourself crazy for no reason. Traumatized, yes. Crazy, no. And I want you to hear it. You won't be able to hear it. It won't settle in right now, man. You've got to let those tears out. I see you holding so much in, man. If you don't let that pain out, man, you will not change the way that you feel. That is the path to finally move in a different direction.
You know, I just wanted to say, after those clips, before we get into transitioning into the prison rape clips, because sometimes you have to sit back and just let these documentaries, you know, really provide the insight that you're really trying to provide for the listening audience. And just one comment, one commentary I just wanted to provide was when the gentleman said that he was 14 years old, he was at the mall, and he was met by a sexual predator in the bathroom, and he was forced to have sex. I spoke on this a long time ago on my show, that there are a certain group of men, particularly older men, okay? Older men that go to the mall for this alleged exercise, but they're really going to the mall with their credit cards and their cash, and they are looking for young, vulnerable males to coerce into abominable acts and to leave traumatized. And you know who you are, because your stomach and your body shape definitely signifies that you're not out there working out, Pops. You're not really there, Deacon such and such. Now, some of you saying, did you just say, Dick? Yes, because we cannot sugarcoat this. This is something that is, oh my goodness, my chair keeps falling down. You keep scooting down on me. We cannot continue to pretend like this isn't going on and we don't know what's going on, because you all talk about it in your little circles, but then when it gets out nationally or gets on a platform to where it's aired out, then it's like, oh no, she didn't. Yes, I did. Some of you deacons, some of you regular Joe Schmoes are going to the gas station, you're buying the penis pills, you're buying the penile enhancers, you're geeked up, you're out of whack, you got to ejaculate, and you got to do it now. You're infested with perversion, and you're gonna go seek and put that spirit into somebody else because it is ravenous. You're like a crank. You know that these young boys some of them have experiences that leave them vulnerable, neglected, abandoned, having to be the man of the house at a young age. So many different statistics that fall for them. And instead of you being a man of the word and a man who is in truth, a true Israelite, somebody who is really, a true prophet, someone who really understands that the Most High God is watching you. Instead of being that guy, you want to come in, flash your money, they're hungry, and then you prey upon them, you rape them, and then you pimp them out, and then you go and you raise your hand and you swing it from side to side on Sunday, and then you act like you the best person, or you go to your job and act like you the best manager, or you go back home and you act like you the best father. But meanwhile, you in your back cave of secrecy have just turned out and raped a young man. What's up? I'm calling you out. I don't know why the police department and the undercover cops and those who say that they are there to help curb crimes against young males and young females, where are you? Why aren't you perusing undercover these malls where these predators are? Why aren't you doing stakeouts in the bathrooms? Why aren't you looking out for these young males? Because a lot of them are black males. I know for a fact what the game is. There was a young man who in Cali was living a lifestyle that was opposite to how he was created, and sleeping with men, doing his quote unquote thing. And he had just gotten his hair cut, and he told his barber that he was going to the mall to meet up with one of his tricks. Well, why the mall? Y'all flash out credit cards and you sit there and you want to get oral sex. It's the middle of the day, 2:00, and you just got to have you some fellatio. And then not only that, you got to have you a young man that doesn't know any better. You got to turn him out because somebody turned you out when you were 14. You need counseling too. I'm not just going to sit here and bash you and not say that you can't be healed, you can't be delivered, and that you can't be set free. But I have to also call out the demons that are operating your sickness. Perversion. You men are created to sleep with women. Only. Now, if you are offended, tune out. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm not going to sit here and if you like it, I love it. You were created to penetrate a woman only. Not a young boy. Not an older man. Sodomy is a crime. For the love of everything holy, for the love of everything sane, for the love of everything righteous, what the are you doing? Raping young boys. Who raped you? And why didn't you get help? Get help. You are a predator. And I know you want to stop. For most of you, I'm sure after your episodes, you feel really bad, don't you? I know you do. And you're begging and you're crying out for God to change you. Because if not, you're already online searching for your next victim on the ever so popular online meeting sites, dating sites that are going to lead several people to hell. Because you are setting up incidents of sin to take place, and so many things happen. Sodomy. For the love of life. Why? I am always offended when I hear people glorify sodomy. There is not one human on this earth that could ever convince me that it's right. And if you are thinking of trying to propose an argument about it, you need to change. Your penis does not belong in anybody's anus. Strong language. Told you so. Your anus is not to be penetrated. What's up? Why is this world so caught up on defiling the human body? Reckless. You know, men having to buy tampons because they can't keep their bowels together. You know, some of you have the nerve to call it boy pussy. Men don't have pussies. Women don't have pussies either. Women have vaginas, men have penises. I'm just keeping it 100. You're nasty. Stop defiling everything that was created to be righteous and holy. The sexual deviancies and perversions of humanity are wrecking you and causing you to destroy your life. When you rape a young man, and you're a man or a woman, you're attempting to ruin their lives. It's very sad. It's very sad. And then we live in such a world that, yeah, right, not you. That couldn't happen to you. Yeah, right. Toughen up. It's really sad. I value how intact I keep my rectum, because I understand the health risk and I understand the spiritual risk that comes along with it. That is a no-go for me. Okay, some of you are into pleasing in ways that we were not created to please in. And the rape culture of men has reached such an alarming rate that young boys are feeling that they have no other choice but to continue on in those practices where they have same-sex engagements. It's really sad. So where are the rape support groups for men? Where are they? Where are the people who are willing to stop being so ignorant and stop berating these men for speaking up about their sexual assaults? Where are the people who are going to stop making men feel like they can't open up their mouths? What about the 4-year-old young boy who's raped by a man, whose entire innocence is shattered by a monster? Who helps him? Who helps the young boy who has to throw away his bloody underwear because he lives in a household where nobody grew up on sensitivity. What happens? Where is the help, the intervention for the 14-year-old who's sexually assaulted by a woman and is told that what happened to you is the fantasy of many men and suck it up, but he's traumatized. Everybody ain't really just, like, having sex is so precious and it is so also not important compared to so many other things that make us all up. It's an ingredient of who we are. But it's not something that should be on your brain all the fucking time. To where now you are acting outside of your role as a human. You're not functioning properly. I don't understand it, and we're going to transition into prison rape. Now, before we do that, familial rape, the rape of a spouse, a wife raping a man, or a family member raping a man, no matter what age, the issue I have is that we all have predators in our family. And you know of them. And you've been the victim of them. And they show up at every family reunion. And you've tried to open your mouth, but your family won't listen to you, won't believe you. What is going on? Have you tried to silence somebody who tried to come to you for help? I have a cousin right now who is a sexual predator. He is a molester. And you live in Alabama. And you have created horrible situations for your cousins. But the response, I got to air it out, y'all. I'm exposing it. The response from my family is, that is my nephew, that's my cousin, and I love him anyhow. I'm the crazy one, they say. I'm crazy, whatever. Family. I don't even deal with them. I don't even consider them to be family. There are some people in your life who teach you how to let go of toxic people. Family rape. Familial rape. I know for a fact that you reap what you sow. And I also know for a fact that God sees it all. And I also know for a fact that you have not escaped judgment. I also know for a fact that hell is a place that has a high capacity. You're not getting away with it. If you have decided that you won't repent, you have decided this is just going to be you just going to torture people, you're in for it. I'm just telling you now, destruction is coming. So we will transition now into prison rape. And a lot of us have family members that are incarcerated. So I hope we understand that this is a very, very scary situation. And we need to be praying. This is brought to you by Found Object Channel, No Escape, Prison Rape in America, The Rules of the Game, Prison Rape and Reform.
For guys that are first coming in, they size you up. You know what I'm saying? They size you up. They say, is this somebody we're gonna get in our gang? Is this somebody we're gonna steal from? Is this somebody we're gonna punk around? You'll see it, man.
He's like kind of cool in the penitentiary. Yeah, he's got his, you know, what they call punk inside, you know, and you know he gets down on you, this and that. I had this one person that he provided. You just have him under your wing, you know, and just use him as a sex object. You know, you're gonna make some money from me, you know, and he has to do it, you know, or he knows, you know, he's threatened. You know, he feels his life's threatened.
In a linear type of jail like here, deputies have to run up here, run across the hallway. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to see. Sexual assault's always an issue, and especially in these types of jail where you can't see. This is a shower, so you can see it's also an area where it's easily... Can you see anything? Can the deputy see anything? This is definitely could be an area where an inmate could commit a sexual assault, nobody would know about it.
Billy Besk was very good at growing things, including marijuana. But of course he gets arrested. And he's an utter innocent. They put him in a block at Bruno.
The deputy came by, inquired, is everything okay in here? And both parties inside said, yes, everything's okay. Mr. Besk was terrified for his life and was saying what he was told to say. And the deputy walked on.
Billy was easily raped in that situation.
When you do have something like that happen, you want to take whatever steps you can to prevent it from happening. You can't turn back what happened to him, but you can try to do everything you can to prevent it from happening to someone else. In the newer direct supervision jails, the idea was to have no blind spots. You have a deputy post viewing an open area with cells built around a semicircle. Even the cells have glass paneled doors. From that one station, the officer can see the entire span and can actually see into each jail cell as well.
Have you ever been to jail before?
No. The preventive policy is the classification system. And there's no question that that has been an evolving system. And it has improved considerably since the Besk case.
Have you ever been to juvenile hall?
No. The objective classification system is just that. It lets you be objective.
The way I look at it, you don't have that much history. Like what you say, you've never been in jail before, and I'm not going to put you with people who's been in prison.
We always give them the options. You know, you're going to get housed here, but it's not permanent. If you walk in there and all of a sudden you just feel that it's, you know, it's not working for you, or people start coming up and they start sexually threatening you or, you know, saying things to you, there's always a deputy. They have to notify the deputy. We'll pull them out of that housing unit. We'll try to rehouse them again.
If you have adequate staff and if you've got decent architecture, you should be able to prevent every sexual assault.
That's it.
It says that let me pause it for you all. In 1997, an experimental faith-based program was implemented at the Carroll Vance unit in Sugarland. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Let me go back just a little bit for you guys, because this is very important. In Sugarland, Texas, the program offers counseling, education, and support groups.
It's just us. There is no justice. It's just us. You know, in other prisons, when they look at us, I got on this white uniform. It's how, don't trust me. I'm not a human being. Watch him. He's an animal. You know, so that's the difference here. Even with the officers, they will give you a chance to say what you have to say.
On some of the other units, you know, you have two men in the cell, and a lot of times, you know, you get some big bully that just run in the cell on one of the smaller guys and take advantage of them, you know. And, you know, they have the gang rapes, you know. And here, you know, there's none of that.
They feel safe.
They're safe from physical assault, whether it be sexual or just physical. They're safe from being having their property stolen. They're safe from being ridiculed. In an institution, until you have security, until you have safety, until you have some prospect of hope, until you have some evidence of growing self-esteem, then everything is pie in the sky.
This next video for you all is about a brother that lives where I am currently residing. And let's listen to it.
Mitchell served more than 30 years behind
Ivory
bars
Mitchell.
for armed robbery. Now, the 55-year-old wants the world to know what happened inside the Texas prison called the Powledge Unit.
And then one day I was in the washroom and she came in and closed the door.
Mitchell says a female corrections officer forced him to perform sex acts on her in 2009 over a 5-month period.
She put it to me like this. She said, if you open your mouth and say anything, I'll go to that distance and say you put your hands on me. You hear me, Mitchell? And I said, yes, ma'am.
The Department of Justice says about 216,000 adult and juvenile inmates are sexually abused each year. About half those incidents committed by staff. The Prison Rape Elimination Act of 2003 was meant to protect inmates.
When I walked over there, he had his pants off and said, I've decided it's been long enough and you're going to give me what I want. And I said,
Jan Listosi helped fight for the law. She was repeatedly raped by a guard in 1998 while serving time in Michigan for embezzlement.
it's a shame that we have to make a law that says don't rape people when they're in prison.
But it took nearly a decade for the federal government to establish standards for eliminating prison rape. Most of the states are still implementing requirements such as surveillance cameras, training for corrections officers, and reporting of sexual assault statistics. Only 2 states, New Hampshire and New Jersey, fully comply. 7 states have opted out, facing a loss of federal funds, including Texas.
We get thousands of letters every year from prisoner rape survivors, and about a quarter of those letters are from Texas.
Texas state prison officials say requirements like same-gender monitoring of inmates is too costly and too difficult to enforce. With a GOP-controlled Congress, Senator John Cornyn of Texas plans to renew his push for reducing financial penalties for states that don't comply. His rationale, the penalties could harm grant programs for sex assault victims on the outside. But the chairman of the commission that came up with the guideline says taking the provision out would totally obliterate the incentive states have to comply with the law. The paradox for inmates, reporting the crime may put them in danger. Mitchell says when he reported the abuse, he was branded a snitch and says a prison gang savagely beat him. He now needs a cane and daily pills to help him walk.
Wow.
Painful reminders of his punishment behind bars that had nothing to do with his crime. John Moon, Associated Press, Palestine, Texas.
We're going to continue with how to avoid rape in prison, destigmatizing snitching, and just different. These are really short clips, but I want to provide you all with an overall perspective, so just hang on with me.
Not snitching when you're trying to protect yourself, so report it. Go to someone, tell someone. You know, you don't have to give any names, you don't have to point anyone. Just say that I feel that my life is in danger and that you need to be removed from this situation.
To me, a snitch is a person that tells to either get you in trouble or to get some type of gain from it. Now, if something happens to me and I report it, I'm not snitching. I'm trying to get help.
Don't be afraid to speak to the staff. You know, this is your life, you know, at stake. People say, well, that's snitching. You know, is it really snitching when it comes to your life?
Ivory Mitchell served more than...
Okay, so this next clip is about a young boy sharing his experiences going out on a date, rather young looking, and this is just raising more awareness about the rape culture when a man is raped, domestic, familial, and prison rape.
I went out on a date with someone I met who I thought I clicked with. It was the best date I'd had in a long time. for a drink. We danced. I went back to his and we had, I think it was orange squash or something to drink. Things started to happen, and we got to a point where he wanted to have unprotected sex, and I said no. That was when the rape happened. I really couldn't say the word rape or even sexual assault or attack or anything. My friend had to do all the talking for me. And I'm never going to be exactly the same as I was. There are some really tricky things. Showers are very difficult. Anytime I'm alone with my body and I don't have anything else to do or think about can be extremely difficult, and it can feel like I'm right back there in the rape. A lot of the reactions I have from people are that because I'm a man, I should have been able to fight off a rapist, and the fact that I didn't means that I wanted what happened to me to happen. It's important that we learn how to sit with the fact that there are men surviving rape around us all the time, that we're interacting with them all the time, and that we're people, that we exist.
Now, this particular clip deals with 6 reasons why men do not report sexual harassment, from The Telegraph on the YouTube channel.
As the Harvey Weinstein allegations continue, male celebrities have started to speak about their experiences of sexual assault and harassment.
At the beginning, yes, there were a few things like that, but you avoid it. What's tried on women is tried on men as well.
This is being mirrored on Twitter, where men now account for just over 30% of the tweets using the #MeToo hashtag. So why have men, like many women, felt so unable to speak out before now? Statistics show that sexual assault predominantly affects women, which is something that, intuitively, we probably all know. However, this does not mean that men are never victims of sexual assault. Approximately 12,000 men every year are the victims of either rape or attempted rape in the UK. And it's estimated that only 4% of male sexual assaults are reported to the police. One concern voiced by male and female victims is that speaking out is pointless, because the conviction rates for sexual assaults are low. For men, this could be exacerbated by the fact that society often sees sexual assault as a crime committed by men on women. The #MeToo hashtag, for example, shows an overwhelming amount of women speaking about sexual harassment at the hands of men. So, for a man to speak out, he must overcome the misconception that men are always the perpetrators, not the victims. Masculinity dictates that men should be strong, stoic, infallible. In contrast, seeking the help of others is seen as a sign of weakness. Admitting to sexual assault can make men feel less manly, and the statistics suggest that manliness is important to them. In one study, 42% of men said they believe a man is mostly responsible for being emotionally strong and taking charge in a crisis, compared to 17% of women. A common theme among male rape survivors who seek help is the questioning of their own sexuality. They ask, "Why was I chosen? And if they were abused by a man, does this make me gay?" This can be complicated by the fact that some victims of sexual assault can feel aroused during the crime, but victims of sexual assault are always just that, victims. #MeToo hashtag shows that women are very good at offering one another visible, vocal support. Men, on the other hand, don't have a history of offering public support for one another. We have a long-standing mentality of dealing with problems alone. It means a man coming forward to talk about sexual assault doesn't know what territory he is walking into. There's little precedent. Some male victims of sexual assault talk about facing discrimination when seeking help. This year, victim Alex Morgan set up a website to help readdress the balance. He recalled reaching out to a rape crisis helpline after his attack, only to be told, men are the abusers, women are the victims, we need to terminate this call now so we can help victims. Arguably, it also doesn't help that, in the eyes of the law, a woman can't rape a man. It's a technical point, but it means men might feel less able to own their experience of sexual assault.
Welcome back. You are listening to The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak show. This evening's subject matter, when a man is raped, domestic, familial, and prison rape. And you were able to listen to clips and commentary surrounding the subject. And we haven't really scratched the surface, I believe. I believe there are several meters for us to dive into. The reason why you're listening to this background music is because as we transition towards ending this particular episode, I really wanted to get us all in a place of relaxation, a place of tranquility, and a place of spiritual awakening. Because the subject of rape is not funny. Any type of sexual crime is not funny, done to a male or to a female, but we have to stop shunning and making our men feel like they cannot open up their mouths and cry out for help. We have to stop shaming men for their tears. We have to stop demasculating men. We have to stop making men feel that they are less than because they tap into their emotions. We live with and work with and are surrounded by several survivors of male-on-male rape and female-on-male rape and don't even know it. Don't even know why this brother is so angry, so testy, so sexually charged, why he's choosing to deal with men and not women. There's a story. And it's one of survival. But some of the men who are victims have not healed and they've never told anyone, and they are ticking time bombs that explode all the time, having trouble sleeping, having trouble being able to relate on a level with another woman because only thing that can consume them was that incident that left them traumatized. And we do too much promoting healthy healing for women, and we don't do enough for men. Let's set the record straight. I'm not a feminist. I believe feminism is an enemy to the relationships that men and women are supposed to naturally have according to the word of God. And any woman who is pro-woman, let's bash men, I don't deal with you. I'm not on the whole God is a woman type stuff. Miss me with that. This isn't that show. I don't wear Doc Martens. Now listen. We cannot ever pick up the phone and say to a man who calls into a rape crisis center, get off the line because men are the assailants and I need to clear the line for a real victim. You know, you aren't supposed to wish that people would be swallowed up by sinkholes, but sometimes you handled that call wrong. You should not be working at a rape crisis center. I have never in my life seen such an onslaught of lazy 911 and crisis center workers. Not all, some. Don't get so self-righteous in all of your heroicisms and being a hero that you forget that you're supposed to be earthly good. A man naturally is stronger, most of the time, bigger, and was created first. That, I believe in order. If you don't, that's on you. But a man being sodomized by another man or a group of men, like, that is traumatizing. And it happens. And it happens in these prisons and in these bathrooms and in these music studios and in homes. You were going over there to perform sexual activities, and next thing you know, you're fighting for your life. Shall we bring Jeffrey Dahmer to the table? Think about it. Our brothers, our kings, have been assaulted sexually. And we, as the women and the men who say that you care about your people, we need to support them. And we need to have more crisis centers that cater, every crisis center needs to cater to men and male and female rape victims, period, in the story. And if you are the head of a rape crisis center, you need to step your center's game up, and you need to have your staff go through sensitivity training so they don't ever in their life make a man feel like he cannot open his mouth and scream out, help. I don't understand. And I just think about the prisons. And Adult Protective Services, you need to go into every single prison in this entire United States of America, and you need to help. Because these brothers and these sisters, and I just don't want to say this on a male and female, are being assaulted by the staff, and they are being raped by the inmates, and something needs to happen. What is the solution? Adult Protective Services agents, you need to go and you need to check on the people in the prison systems and in the juvenile halls. You cannot discriminate. Adult Protective Services is just that. Child Protective Services is just that. Having to wear a tampon because somebody violated your rectum. Sodomy is a crime both in this world and scripturally. Here we are. I want all of my male victims to report your rape. I don't care how long ago. And if the person who you report to chooses to make you feel like your voice does not matter, then you take it up to the chain of command. I'll tell you about going up the chain of command. I have gotten many things taken care of going up a chain of command. The last voice you want to hear on the other end of the phone is Ayana's voice when I'm calling about how you have dropped the ball and how you're going to pick it up. You need to report it. If you have been assaulted by a family member, you need to open your mouth and you need to tell. Parents, you need to talk to your sons and you need to talk to them and you need to ask them if there's anything going on. You need to go into their direct messages. You need to check their phones. You need to find out what's going on at these malls. What's up with you top flight security guards that probe the mall looking for shoplifters, and then you got somebody gang raping and raping men in the men's bathroom? What's popping? I got to take this off. I cannot do the beach waves because I got to get in it. What's up? A lot of times people don't want to get involved because you're so heavily perverted yourself that you can't help anybody else. And you're masquerading as a service agent whose objective is to help the community and those who have been victim of sexual assaults. But really, you're a predator yourself. You top flight security guards who go into the malls and you don't do anything but walk around. How come you're not helping these young men? Why aren't you going in the bathrooms and watching and making sure there's no young boy being assaulted by a grown man? Y'all can't have sleepovers like you used to. They say it's going down in the DMs. That ain't the only place it's going down. Y'all need to really understand that there are some activities going on right underneath your nose and you have no idea. That coach that wants to drop off all the boys and he drops off your son last every time. Find out what's going on. Find out. Stop being lazy. Don't be a lazy parent. Don't be a lazy village resident and not look after your own. Some of the PE teachers ain't right. Some of the sports coaches aren't right. Some of the priests aren't right. Some of the pastors aren't right. Deacons aren't right. I'm calling you males out who have titles and you are sexual predators. And some of you are the victims of sexual predators, and now you are repeating the cycle and you need help. There is a church in Oakland, California. I have said this before and I'll say it again. Whose former pastor should have been arrested and put on the sexual offenders list, but instead they gave him a severance package because everybody is interconnected. And because if I do this, then my business could get put on the street. So I'm not going to say anything. We're going to find out what we need to do. Even the Bible says that when someone does this, that they are supposed to be handled in the way that they would be handled in the world with that sexual crime. And instead you gave that man a severance package. And he then has turned around and has tried to sexually assault some of his own family members. Do you understand how sick it is? Why are we afraid of pastors and to stand against the wave if we see something that's wrong? Clean your own shit up so then you won't let other stuff fall by the wayside and can't open your mouth because you over here doing it too. I just don't want to get involved in all of that. I'm sure you don't. When you ask your child what's wrong and they say nothing, don't leave it at nothing. Probe, probe, probe. Stop just letting your children go spend the night at Eddie Long's house. Oh, Ayana, you shouldn't have said that because he's passed away. Did mothers let their sons go to Eddie Long's house? And did they accuse him of sexual acts? Did it come out? Don't come at me with that sensitivity, being sensitive about the wrong things. Stop letting these men who you don't even know, haven't even examined, don't even have a background check on, know nothing about, be a mentor to your son because they don't have a father. Every man ain't a mentor, sister. Stop always letting these men come up in your house, leaving them with your children only to be sexually assaulted because you got to have somebody in between your legs. Leaving your children vulnerable to be raped by a nigga, the word came out, but by somebody you don't know. By a brother you don't know. That considers himself to be a real nigga. Now, your children's disposition has changed. Have you noticed? Your grown son's disposition has changed. Have you noticed? Your husband is always flying off the handle. Have you noticed? There's something deep going on. And if we care, we would probe. I'm so tired of these prison systems that do not reform, but only house demons. And then, instead of rehabilitating, instead of creating a way for them to heal, you just house them and you just leave them. Now, I'm not sticking up for the breaking of the commandments, but it's just so barbaric. Like, you know, you already think about a woman being raped, how barbaric that is, and then you just think about a man being gang raped. Like, that's not okay. It's just not. His trust, his whole world turned upside down because he was violated. Where is the help? Where is the self-control? Do men always got to damn ejaculate all the damn time? Don't y'all got time out for anything? Sex shouldn't be on your brain all the time. I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man. Well, now that the hell you know that, being a man don't mean you always got to be erect and ejaculate. Does not mean you have to have sex all the time. It means that you were given a precious gift and you are to use it valuably with the opposite sex, your wife. And it's just so sad because so many men come out of prison and they don't talk about it. And you know, you think about it and you choke. We say these jokes like, don't drop the soap, but like, for real though, don't. Because if you do, something bad can happen. Then what? He comes out and he's never the same again. You know, I just really hate Satan. And I hate the sexual demons that he uses to attack people. I hate the spirit of molestation. I hate the spirit of rape. I hate the spirit of sexual assault. I hate the spirit of pimping. I hate the spirit of sodomy. I hate the spirit of sexual deviancy. Because look how it wrecks us. Look how it destroys us. There are so many things that we have to bounce back from. But men, tonight, it is about you and your survival from the most traumatic event that has probably ever happened to you. And you need healing. So you'll stop having same sex Sex. So you'll stop pursuing men because you as a man were created to pursue a woman. You were created to penetrate a woman consensually. You weren't created to be sodomized. You weren't created to have wild, spontaneous, unnatural sex. You weren't. You were not created to be that. You have to tame the pleasures of your flesh, and you have to unlearn what you have learned and unlike what you have liked. Yeah, there's still time for you to repent. Yes, there's still time for you to change. Yes, there's still time for you to heal and continue to function how you were created to function. It's not too late. Don't throw away your healing. Don't throw away the opportunity for you to heal. Don't let Satan have the victory. No matter where you are listening this evening, no matter what country, no matter what city, no matter what state, as a man, I am saying, well, not as a man, but to you, to all the men that are listening, I am praying for your healing. And I hope others will join me in praying for the support group to form to help you. I'm praying for your voice. Some circumstances, I understand that no matter how much you try to avoid them, you can encounter them. And so I can never just say that it's your fault, because it's not. Are you asking for it? You know, a lot of times they say women are asking for it by the way that they dress. And in fact, you are creating an environment that is conducive for rape. And you men who sag your pants, you men who have been turned out. I was going to play another video, but it was so graphic. I said I couldn't do it to my listening audience because I was traumatized. It was so graphic what is done in turning out a man in prison. And I couldn't play it. I couldn't play it. And I just wanted to say that do not make yourself conducive to an environment that lacks a moral compass. A lot of the biggest hurdle this evening is you're going to have to stop running. You're going to have to start healing. And you're going to have to stop assaulting. And that's just facts. Pornography is your biggest enemy. Constant constant perversion, constant defiling. And that is an ingredient that adds to the fuel for a sexually charged event. Pornography. Homosexuality. Homo meaning one man. Sexuality. That's what I consider masturbation to be. Homosexuality. Sodomite and feminism and, things of that nature. I just feel like we misassign words, but that's probably a whole nother topic. But we're just going to stick for the term that you all use, masturbation. You got to stop. It's too much. I always think about men carrying sperm and the sperm hitting the egg, and men carry the children and emit it, ejaculated into the woman. And I just think about all the times y'all masturbate. Could we consider that to be an abortion? Too? Killing your children? Because when you ejaculate, where do you let the semen go? Where does it go? Where do you put it? In a tissue, right? Those are your children. That's how you feel. You wasting your children on your temporary lust. When you masturbate, you're not thinking about things that are right. But that's a part of this culture of rape. Drinks, drugs, music, certain music, uncontrollable desires, all kind of things like that lead to the rape culture. And being preyed upon, all these things. So, real talk though, are you willing to give up masturbating? Are you willing to give up pornography? Are you willing to stop suppressing what's really, really the source for why you do what you do? Have you raped a man before? Are you willing to get help for it? Have you repented? Are you able to stop? Why do you rape? For power? For control? That's the wrong type of power and control you even need to be willing to try to have. That's called oppression. Sexual oppression. Because you leave the victim of your ways in a bad space. I thank you all, I thank you all for listening this evening. It's really important that we understand that this sometimes you got to lay it on the line, and you got to be willing to keep it 100. And I know that sex is a huge part of our destructions, and rape is never okay. And what I wanted to do before we close out this evening is leave you all with some telephone numbers that will help you. These are, let me see, I just want to get a 1-800 number for you guys. 1-800 for rape. I want to leave you all with the hotline number that you all can contact. The National Sexual Assault Telephone Hotline. And the number is 1-800-656-4673. So that's 1-800-656-HOPE, which is 4673. 1-800-656-4673. It wouldn't be proper without acknowledging that Jesus the Christ, the Son of God, the Father, is able to heal you. It's no mystery to me. So I would like to encourage you all to seek him for your healing. And you'll be amazed at how he will orchestrate the circumstances to provide you with everything you need for your healing journey. Prayer changes things. I cannot live without him. And I've been through some traumatic things myself, but it's not about me tonight. It's about the men who have suffered in silence because they have been raped. And because of the culture that we live in that is ignorant, sexist, and apathetic towards building up the leaders of our village, of our homes. It's serious, brothers and sisters. Whether you have been raped in college, prison, at home, while staying at a friend's house, wherever the incident occurred, release yourself from the incident, that incident. Release yourself from it in the spirit and catch up to it in the flesh. I thank you all for being a wonderful listening audience this evening. I thank you for listening to the Sister Speak Show. The time has definitely been well spent. And we're going to dive deeper into subjects that people don't want to talk about. Thank you all for listening to The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Sister, spiritual inspiration shared through the arts. Sister, spiritual inspiration shared through Ayana. Until we meet next time, my brothers and sisters, I have a special guest coming on this Saturday. Yakar Kyle from Dallas, R&B singer, beautiful sister. She'll be my special guest on the Sister Speak Show. We will be live. And I will be recording the tour for you all as well. It'll probably more than likely be on demand for you, but we'll see. I might go live tomorrow night. I might not. It just depends. But I thank you all for being supportive of the Sister Speak Show. And I just want you all to really consider how heavy this topic is and to really do some soul searching and definitely some praying for our brothers in the village who have been victims of rape. It's very serious. And I believe that we can get out of our healings and get into our feelings. Thank you to my international listeners. You have been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful audience. The time has been well spent. I'm not exhausted. I'm just really... I'm glad we opened up the discussion, but there's more to talk about. So until we meet again, my brothers and sisters, you take care. But we got one more commercial break for you, and then we'll close out.
This is a special announcement to all of my art lovers. Just added to the Sister Speak Show, another special guest. Join me live on the platform Sunday, August 19th. My special guest, professional artist Tiffany Glenn. You're seeing Tiffany's beautiful artwork on Instagram and other places. Well, now you will get a chance to listen to the voice behind the original, phenomenal, beautiful, creative artwork. Yes, vibe out with us on the platform on the Sister Speak Show, a syndicated podcast on Amazon Alexa, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action.
That's right, brothers and sisters. My special guest, just added, Tiffany Glenn. She is a phenomenal, phenomenal creative artist, professional artist, and she'll be my special guest on the platform. I'm so glad. And, with that being said, my brothers and sisters, you be educated, you be aware, and please don't be apathetic. You be empathetic. With that being said, this is Ayana. I'm signing off. You take care. You keep pressing through. And I'll talk to you later. Take care now.